Janice, are you there?
At your service, sir.
Enter the manosphere.
Of course. How can I assist you today?
Give me some of that dating foolishness.
Will do, sir.
No, I did. I felt like you didn't see my value. And, in that moment, I felt like I needed the support of my viewers in that moment. And not only that, like he said, I discuss relationships and things like that. So I thought that was a good opportunity for me to kind of have that conversation and see, like, what does everybody else think? I wasn't really taking your feelings into consideration. I wasn't trying to be necessarily malicious or anything like that.
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Shout out to Kevin Wesley, the Truth Factory, talking about the Cheesecake Factory dismissal. This is a perfect example of why men need to protect themselves at all times, and how women red pill men. Social media gave women a platform to expose themselves. Before we get into this, I want to give credit to Jay and Alicia for making this interview an example to educate others about what to be cautious of. The original video is 38 minutes long. The link is in the description. And I'm going to react to most of the interview. Let's get it. Now it's time for us to get into this and do what we got to do. Because we men, ain't we? We men, ain't we?
So, now here we are, a few weeks later. I'm sure you've had some time to think about what you guys discussed in the car. I'm sure you've had some time to think about it. Before I ask you any questions, have you guys had a second date?
No.
No second dates?
Not yet.
Okay.
Don't you dare go on another date with this woman.
What has dating been like for you since that video went viral?
Since I was on the video, kind of unexpected. I might not have put my best foot forward, and so I feel like, I've not really met anyone since who I've really gotten to get to know like that, because a lot of women, they might have seen the video or might have heard from it, or maybe a friend of them has seen the video and shares it with them. And so they kind of had this image of me based on the video.
Absolutely.
And it hasn't really helped.
Okay.
Exactly. It's like they might think everything about me is reflected in that video, and I don't think it is. And but yeah, it's been difficult.
Sure.
Well, and it's even before this, dating has already been difficult for me.
Only for women with delusions is Jay portrayed in a negative light. Unfortunately, delusional women have become the norm in the West. Listening to Jay explains why he would try to date this woman. He's clearly blue pill. The fact that he wanted to take her to a fancy restaurant on the first date and was waiting for her for an hour says a lot about why it's difficult for him to get dates. This woman knows who she's dealing with. Let's take it a step further.
I imagine your views kind of clash with what you're looking for and what they're looking for.
Yeah, I think so, because I think in general my values kind of reflect wanting to build something that lasts.
Yes, sir.
And I want to make sure that anyone that I meet is willing to build a really strong foundation based on our mutual values. And I think it in general, a lot of the people that I meet, either they don't have time to set towards building something like that, or they just don't want to because they're younger, they want to experience casual dating or whatever it is, and it's just not something that I'm looking for right now.
This is Western culture, fellas. Take your traditional values elsewhere. Women are not looking to settle down and start a family. Not in their prime. But they will take free meals and free attention any day of the week and tell you that they deserve it.
Understood. So obviously, guys, Jay's saying that they have a negative, viewing him in a negative light when it comes to dating. When I saw Jay, I saw someone who was making some excellent points, who knew what he wanted, and he's actually now like a Giga Chad in the manosphere world, in the red pill community. The brother's being mentioned everywhere for the way he handled that conversation.
Hold up, brother. Jay is not a Giga Chad, not even close to a Chad either. But we absolutely give him props for handling the situation like a gentleman. If Jay was red pill, we would not have this conversation today. He would have handled the situation very differently.
Now I'm going to ask Alicia as well, because during this conversation, Alicia.
Thank you.
We'll get that right. Okay, so Alicia, you didn't seem to really disagree with what he was saying. Now you had definitely a different opinion before he gave you his mind, right? But you seemed very receptive to it. Can you explain to me kind of what you were thinking and how you saw him in that video? Because he's saying they took him in a negative light. What do you think?
Well, yes, I think once we had the conversation, I could see my role in the conflict.
Okay. Okay.
Let's back up a little bit. To be fair, I mean, I was always raised that the man is supposed to cater to you. I mean, you're courting me, so court me. That means wherever I want to go, you take me.
Absolutely.
Whatever I want, you buy me. That's courting.
Oh my goodness. That's not courting, you fool. You can't make this stuff up. Courting does not mean that a man has to take a woman wherever she wants to go and buy her whatever she wants. The foolishness. Courting is about building a meaningful and respectful connection between two individuals with the intention of a committed relationship. It's not about one person solely providing for the other or meeting all their material desires, like most of these entitled women think dating is today.
You know, I'm looking for a provider. So, but after the conversation, I could see how there was a lot of
Okay.
in that exchange.
Absolutely.
I was definitely very self-centered, and I can appreciate if I do want someone to provide for me, I at least gotta be a little bit nice.
Absolutely. Okay.
A little bit nice? If nice were a drink, she would have to knock back an entire crate to get a sip of positivity. I find it disgusting that these women truly believe they can be obnoxious, unkind, and disrespectful to men and still expect the world back in return. Absolutely disgusting.
Okay, great. So now I ask you this, based on your idea of dating before your conversation with Jay, how did you grow up? Who also thinks that way? I'm sure you have friends who think that way. I've heard it a lot.
I mean, everybody. I mean, that's what the man's, he's supposed to be the provider.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and I'm a beautiful woman, so I'm expecting to be treated like royalty. I mean, come on. So that's what I was doing.
Red flag alert.
You're getting your red pill vitamins today, fellas. She said everybody, which means the sisterhood, including her mama. We made a 40-minute video about modern women's attitude and how the sisterhood has a great impact on this delusional attitude. If everybody in her environment has this same attitude, run! Get to the chopper! You're not just dating a woman, you're dating her tribe. This woman thinks she's a 10, but she's average. Everybody in the sisterhood tells her she's a 10. That's why she was quick to take out her phone when Jay went against the protocol of the tribe, which is to treat her like royalty, even though she was an hour late and bad company. Spot the red flags early, fellas.
How do we treat him? And that's where the disconnect was.
Right.
In the video, now of course I'm sure you think of it differently now, but in the video, you basically told him that, you know, you're not going in there, you know your value. It would be embarrassing for you to go inside a Cheesecake Factory. A lot of people like Cheesecake Factory. Now, so when I see that video, I'm thinking, okay, she must have some friends who probably would disagree with her going inside a Cheesecake Factory. Your peer group. So peer pressure probably keeps you from.
Never live that. Oh my God! I would have never lived that down.
Wow! They ate the Cheesecake Factory. They wouldn't let you live that down.
No, I have an image to protect.
Sisterhood above everything.
Wow! Does not do that. That was that was my circle though. That's how. Sure. That's how we roll.
Sure.
To be quite blunt. That's how we roll.
Enjoy your cats, ladies.
Hypergamy is a big thing in my circle. It's what we've been taught. Why? As a black woman, I'm gonna go there. As a black woman.
Here it comes.
We're really tired of having to settle. We want to be treated well. Mm-hmm. We want that soft life. So that's what I thought I was going after. However, what I understand is a part of having a soft life is being cooperative.
Being soft.
Not being combative,
You're
right?
Actually being soft.
Right.
Right?
Right.
She's a lost cause. And the sisterhood, too. They live in this bubble where they only hear what they want to hear. Nothing realistic gets through. How many times do we have to tell them that the math doesn't add up? Check this out.
From what I'm told, and I haven't double checked these statistics, so don't hold me accountable for this, but women essentially outnumber men better than 15-1. That doesn't take into account the gay community, the transgender community, or the incarcerated community. You add all of those numbers up, the number's bigger. And with all the options that men have, I think it's safe to say that we'll choose somebody who would prefer not to emasculate their man before we would choose a woman who would choose to do so. And emasculation comes in all shapes, forms, and sizes. You can be insulting. You can be volatile. You can be argumentative. You can be petty. You can be vicious. In Jada's case, you can be public. That is the issue. You cannot disrespect and emasculate your man and expect things to end well.
Shout out to Stephen A. Smith for this clip. Women are in no position to have these unrealistic expectations because most of these women will never live that so-called soft life they crave. But some way, somehow, they all feel special. They all are the exception to the rule. That's why if you are not a talk show host or a content creator, I don't want you to waste your time trying to talk some sense into these women. The great Shahrazad Ali already tried in the late 80s and early 90s. It's not gonna happen.
Jay, is that your first time stopping a date midway through and going on back home, or?
Yeah, something like that's, I'm sorry, at least, yeah, that's the
Don't apologize, Jay. She deserved it.
first time I've really put my foot down to that kind of extent. But it's not like an isolated incident,
Okay.
you know? I've gone on dates with several people now, even before her, where they had very specific things they were looking for in a boyfriend or whatever. And even within my own circles, right? And that's just not something that I'm looking for, because I was raised, like we were talking about how she was raised, whereas with me, my family, we've passed down the name for ages, and we're a very close knit, strong family.
You passed down your first name, Jay? Like your
Yes.
father's and father.
Yeah,
How many generations probably?
I mean, I couldn't really count it myself.
Wow.
Because I mean, the thing is, like, I'm from India.
Okay.
You know, and the partition happened where, like, India was separated from Pakistan. And a lot of my family were on both sides of that, and we had to come back together.
Wow.
And we had to, it was very important for us to stay strong after the fact. At the time, maybe we didn't care as much about creating this legacy, but ever since, it's like that's been one of the strongest parts of our family, is the importance in creating our legacy.
You need to go back to India ASAP to find what you're looking for, brother. Because you're in the wrong country if you want to continue your family's legacy. And please, don't bring your Indian wife back to the States, because she will become just like the woman who's sitting next to you.
And with that in mind, like, I've grown up with the idea that I want a strong family here now that I'm living in America. The only kind of relationships I seek are ones where that is the only value. That is the biggest value. That is the most important thing for the other person as well as for me.
Wow. That's actually powerful. So your family going through all that they did, it caused you guys to really idealize relationships, right? And
Specifically, relationships that last.
absolutely. And so here you are in America dating.
Yeah.
Cultural differences, fellas. It is what it is.
So here's what I want to do, guys. I want to go back a bit. Can y'all tell me how y'all met? I want you to tell me how you guys met.
So I was in Midtown, and like, I barely even have time to go out with friends and all that, but it was a really close friend's birthday, so I went to get some drinks for the first time in ages, and I saw this beautiful woman who it seemed like every other guy in the bar was either intimidated by or too shy to talk to.
Or not attracted to. And already know this woman is a walking red flag. Courage without wisdom is a fool's bravery.
And I thought, what the hell, why not? And she was, minding her own business. And I asked her, her name, Alicia, and I thought that's a beautiful name. And even despite how loud it was in the bar, we were still able to talk a little here and there. And I got her number, and she had to go. And so we kept talking after that for a little bit, and then like a week later, I asked her, "You want to go out? I mean, to this restaurant?"
Yeah.
And I told her it would be a surprise. And maybe that might be a problem on my part. It might have raised the expectations a little bit, but
No dinner dates, especially on the first date. Men, guard your wallets. Your time, money, and energy is valuable. You got fools like her thinking a date is to spend money on her. She needs to prove that she is worth your time, money, and energy. That's what the date is for. Simple coffee date.
I guess the surprise ended up being Cheesecake Factory, where
Right.
the original surprise was,
I want to get to that. You had something else planned for her, right?
Yeah.
Because of how the evening went, the Cheesecake Factory happened, right?
yeah.
So
Can I just say before
Sure.
I love the Cheesecake Factory, and it's a place that I've gone to for like every birthday. So like, it wasn't just like a random restaurant to me. It was also like a place that I've gone with my family throughout
Same.
my entire life, and I love Cheesecake Factory.
so you didn't.
Jay and the blue pillars who are watching, women don't give a shit about what's important to you. Look at her body language every time Cheesecake Factory comes up. This is all about her and the sisterhood. Women keep women single. If Jay was a Tyrone, Cheesecake Factory wouldn't be much of a problem because Tyrone would be the flex. But Jay is not Tyrone, so he does not have the privilege to take this so-called queen to the Cheesecake Factory.
So obviously, because you guys were late, she wasn't ready. You weren't able to take her to the restaurant that you wanted to take her to. You figured, I can't go wrong with the Cheesecake Factory, right?
Yeah.
It's my old birthday restaurant, you know.
It's my lucky.
She'll love it.
And that's the lucky spot too. Apparently.
Lucky spot, okay.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that. Well, no, I'm kidding with you.
Okay.
Alicia.
Yeah.
So, Jay, you see Jay walking up to you in the bar, say Midtown. He's walking up to you. He's gonna talk with you. There are other guys around you. Did you notice those guys probably want to talk to you? Did you see that? And
Yes, I did.
so what made you say, okay, I'm gonna give this guy a chance? What was it about him?
Well, he was bold enough to come up and talk to me for
Confidence,
one.
okay.
So yes, I definitely am attracted to confidence. He just seemed like he had a pure heart. He was, very thoughtful, engaging. I mean, the only he won me over. He did win me over, but I'm a tall woman, and so there wasn't necessarily like that immediate attraction. But as we began to talk, it was really his heart that made me say, I'll give this guy a try.
This is pure gold. They always tell on themselves. She is not attracted to Jay, and at the same time, she's not getting a lot of attention either. Remember this?
You know what's crazy? I feel like the guys my age don't even approach me no more. Like, I feel like the young guys have the balls and the older guys don't.
Women with a higher sexual market value are not even approached by men. At least not by the men they want. She's the tallest and biggest person on that couch. She was gonna use Jay for free attention and free meals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that where you draw your line? Is that typically you don't date guys who are, guys have to be at least your height or taller before you would date them?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, I understand that. That probably makes it difficult finding someone suitable for yourself. You are what, 6'1", 6?
I'm almost 6'1", yes.
Almost 6'1". Wow. So that means, let's see, 14.5% of men are at least 6 feet, right? But that next 2 inches for you to find someone taller than you, that's 3.6% of men in the entire world that are tall enough that are at least 6'2".
I know.
Is that discouraging?
I mean, I only need one.
You need one, but he needs to be that height. He needs to make the resources, right?
Yeah.
He needs to be funny. He needs to be charismatic. He needs to be disciplined. And that doesn't discourage you? Like,
I'm an optimist. But no.
and I like it.
Yeah,
I like
but no, I mean,
An optimist.
the
Jay is getting his red pill vitamins. The delusion is real, brother. These women will take the delusion to the grave because if they don't, they can't cope. Why do you think 1 in 4 women are on antidepressants? This is a coping mechanism. Remember this?
You haven't met him. Jen, you haven't met him. You know, if I had met him, I'd be married. I don't look back. And even though I've tried to look back and say, oh, maybe it was him, did I pass him by, maybe I should go. There's no one in my past that I feel like I should go back to. And there's no disrespect to any of the men that I've dated. If you're watching this, I love you all. And I really do. I'm friends with most of my exes. I have no hard feelings. But the truth of the matter is, I finally had to accept what for me was a relief, which was that I haven't met him.
They keep deluding themselves that the one will show up one day, even though the odds are stacked against them.
logically speaking, I understand what you're saying. I've heard this many times, but I haven't given up on, I hadn't given up on that. But I'm actually open. I really enjoyed our conversation, so I would consider.
Well, sure, and I was going to commend you for that. I didn't see it as a. I know you're saying that they have to be that height, but it seems that you are willing to, make an exception, just like you did for Jay here when he walked up and he had the confidence of a 6'2" man. You were to at least hear what he had to say, and that's a good
Jay badly needs the red pill.
thing, because it may not be the cookie cutter thing that you plan out. So if we're gonna look for a happy relationship, a harmonic one that gives our children and our lineage what they need for years and generations to come, right? We may have to make an exception or two, right?
Yeah. Sometimes it's not what we want, it's what we need. And we have to be more open to what we need.
That's absolutely true. I was gonna say,
They can take a test and give the right answers. Always look at a woman's actions.
comes to how we date, I think a lot of it is just the information that we have, right? So what I noticed from yours and Alicia's conversation, Jay, is that you had a different view of altogether of what dating should look like leading up to a relationship, and she had a different view. And now,
like, what I should say is, I mean, at the very end of the day, like, I understand dating in America is different from where my family's from, and in a way, like, it's perfectly fine to have those views and to think of dating differently. I just think, for me, I have a very specific criteria, and it's not a long list of criteria, but it's just certain values that I
sure. Well, I think a lot like you. That's why the video stood out to me. I believe relationships should be harmonic. They should be for a reason. So I believe in dating with intent, right? Yeah. But many people in our generation today, they see dating as something that's just fun. They don't see it as a way to establish a healthy relationship. And that's what I was going to say. There's almost little to no understanding as to what dating should look like when you're trying to establish an intent for a meaningful relationship. And I think that's the biggest problem. It's not so much that people are necessarily selfish or entitled. It's more so that they don't know what they're looking for, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Oftentimes we think we know, but we really don't.
Right.
Yeah.
You see, this is why we are not talking to women on this channel. If women really were everything they were advertised to be, they would have figured this stuff out a long time ago. Women's behavior is only gonna change when the environment changes, when there is a need to change. That's why we're talking to men. Men like Jay, whose naivety is taken advantage of and needs to know how to protect himself at all times.
All right, so when he asked you the question, you expect men to go all out on a date, huh? You said absolutely. If he likes her, he should present that, right?
Yes.
He should lead and be masculine. He should be willing to pay for the meal, show up on time, open doors for her, the whole nine. But when he asked you, what is a woman expected to do? You said, look good, be there. And that's where the, right?
Disconnect was,
Absolutely. Because there should be things that a woman should do, right? So if you've thought about that, could you tell me some of what you think now, if he would have asked you that question today?
Sure. If you think about, watching the video, it's like, how do you expect this person to keep giving, and you're not giving anything back? So now we're depleted.
Absolutely.
And so who's going to pour into him?
Wow.
So, I mean, if you truly do want that type of protection provider, there has to be some balance.
Absolutely.
So.
It's interesting what she says about watching the video, because just like Ebony K. Williams, after the backlash, she changed her tune because she figured out how stupid she looked in those videos. Social media gave women a platform to expose themselves. She knows she looked stupid. This interview is PR. Let's fast forward to another highlight.
Maybe the way I saw it is, when you wanted to go out with me at all, that was you trusting me.
Right.
And it did kind of hurt a little bit. I mean, again, I can respect boundaries, but it did still at the same time hurt my feelings if you didn't trust me.
And of course, as men, we're going to try to be receptive to that and understand where you're coming from. But it does kind of limit his ability to do his full, to be his full masculine self in that capacity, right?
Yeah.
The last thing I had here was intellectual stimulation, right? So we like when a woman can respond back and be attentive, right?
Yeah.
Have a good conversation. right? We look for that in women. And I definitely think she appeared to have that. You guys started off it was a little difficult conversation, but it seems like she understood you. She was receptive to what you were saying. Is that typical for you?
Well, typically a lot of the girls that I met, as I said, like they're literally only trying to date to date or to like have, I don't know, I'm allowed to use the word fuck buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. We're in hookup culture.
We're in a hookup culture, exactly. And so like they're just looking for that. And so it's like, sometimes it's not necessarily about the values or anything like that. Maybe it's like more small talk, maybe, and maybe sometimes it feels like it's something that'll take more time to get her to open up or something like that. Where at the end of the day, they don't want a second date because we haven't gotten to know each other. And that to me sounds so irritating because you didn't want to get to know, we didn't get to know each other because they wouldn't want to talk.
Absolutely.
So it's like,
I completely.
This is why this space keeps growing, because it's women who have created and sustained this hookup culture. It's women who red pill men. Men like Jay are gonna come to the conclusion that the juice ain't worth the squeeze sooner or later.
a lot of times, if I'm the one asking a girl out, that's me already offering to pay for the meal, right? That's me already being okay with that, right? But her recording me did feel like that's where I felt like she was trying to take advantage. She was trying to like, and maybe you had a different view on it, but it felt like at the time that you were just trying to get food, like a free meal from a fancy restaurant, and then you get content from me too to post on YouTube, Facebook.
And you get your reputation ran through the mud, so it's all be done at your expense, right? Now, that wasn't your take. You have many groups where you encourage women on dating, y'all talk about dating, and this was something that you said, look, y'all see a lot of dates go wrong.
Right.
So based on your mindset, you really felt like he was taking you somewhere beneath your value.
Yeah.
And you were saying, I'm gonna show the world how you're treating me, right? Can you tell us a bit about that so he knows that, it wasn't to embarrass you, it wasn't to, get content, any of that. It was, I felt wronged in that scenario. You mind?
No, I did. I felt like you didn't see my value. And, in that moment, I felt like I needed the support of my viewers in that moment. And not only that, like he said, I discuss relationships and things like that. So I thought that was a good opportunity for me to kind of have that conversation and see, like, what does everybody else think? I wasn't really taking your feelings into consideration. I wasn't trying to be necessarily malicious or anything like that.
Stop lying. She knew exactly what she was doing. She just didn't expect that Jay was going to put his foot down and take her home until he did and made her look stupid in front of the sisterhood. Women know exactly when they are disrespectful. Women know when they are late. Women know when they are unkind and unpleasant. Women know if a man is a nice guy or not. Women know within the first 10 seconds if they would. They don't care about how men see things. It's like Jada Pinkett throwing Will Smith under the bus for self-gain. Jay was not supposed to make her look bad for the sisterhood.
Would you guys be open to another date, knowing what you know now?
I think if we were able to find a way to get our values more in the center, I could see us trying again.
I mean, yeah, I would be willing to go out on a date again.
Damn! Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Listen, we want to keep up with this first date. Actually, we're going to take care of this first date. It's going to be on us. So we're going to send you somewhere just like they used to do on all those other talk shows. We're going to take care of it. And then we'll reach back to you guys in a couple of weeks and find out how that's going. How does that sound?
One?
I'd love to see what you guys are up to.
As long as it's not the cheesecake now.
Oh.
Jay, don't do it!
Run! Get to the chopper!
She doesn't get another shot, fellas. She just showed you her true colors. One of your biggest strengths is the ability to walk away. You need to have that card in your portfolio. The men walking away from that dating foolishness card.
I mean, I understand that I was late. I understand that. I understand that I could have been a bit more cooperative. You made some good points. That's why I'm willing to compromise. Are you sure you want to go home?
I don't have a lot of rules. I don't have a lot of expectations for a first date, but I've already set them, and you've broken every one.
Oh
So
my God.
I'm sorry. We're dropping you off home.
All right, whatever. Well, I mean, I guess I understand. You gotta do what you gotta do. Well, I'm sorry. I understand where you're coming from.
Manosphere, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.